If you'd like to put up the next slide, this is a picture of just some examples of order in nature. So there's this order in nature. It's very profound. It's very deep. We see it in the structure of everything around us, how everything is organized. Even like the human brain, I read last night, the human brain has 10 trillion, that's 10,000 billion interneuronal connections. And that functioning of the human brain is what maintains our consciousness. So where is this order? Where is this order in nature? We see it expressed in the objects of nature. But where does it come from?
Yes.
And if you'd like to put up the next slide, this is an interesting little picture, a little bit complicated. We'll take a moment to look at it. But what this picture shows, it has two sides. So on the left side is the structure of matter, the structure of the material world. And what we see is that it's hierarchical. So that on the surface level of life, it's very complicated. There's huge diversity. But what we see is, for example, everything in the organic world is made up of cells. Cells are made up of molecules. Mm-hmm. Molecules are made up of atoms. Well, there's only about 130 or 40 different kinds of atom. And if we look deeper than that, there is only 3 particles which make up atoms: protons, neutrons, electrons. So as we're going deeper, what we're seeing is there's more unity. There's less diversity. And then what happens is you get to the level of the fields, the different fields: electromagnetic field, gravitational field, strong and weak interaction, the basic forces of life. And what quantum physics, and this is very interesting because Maharishi was the founder of Transcendental Meditation and the person who's really brought this whole Vedic viewpoint of life into a scientific context. He was always interested in quantum physics. He was a scientist by education, even though he was a scientist by education.
It's good to know.
Even though he was a deeply spiritual man, he was a scientist by education. And what he realized is that there are deep parallels between particularly the very subtle, tiny, tiny levels of physical creation which are studied in quantum physics, and then the functioning of the field of consciousness. And just to make a long story short,
yes.
The idea is that the laws of nature, see, the thing is that I was just saying that all the cells, all the organs, everything in our body is just made up of 3 different neutrons, protons, electrons. That's all there is, nothing but that. So the laws of nature which govern the functioning of the material world are all contained on the most subtle, deepest level, because there is really nothing else there except that deep level. So the laws of nature reside in the unified field of all the laws of nature. The unified field is the deepest level of the physical world. It's the source of the laws of nature. And what Vedic science brings out is that the unified field is also consciousness. It's a source of intelligence. See, if you think of the material world, what can it be except an expression of intelligence? Because there's so much complexity, there's so much order. It's just, far out, as they say. It's so extraordinary. So what the Vedic tradition sees is that when we transcend, when the mind goes to that quiet, silent level of consciousness, as it transcends, what it's experiencing is the basic level of life, which is fundamental to our subjective consciousness and also the objective world. And so when we bring our mind to that level, we're imbibing it or identifying it with that intelligence and organizing power. And what we say is that on this level, the individual is cosmic. The individual is everything, in fact, because the source of everything in life is the same basic source.